Hello and welcome back to the Pat Podcast. This is episode 4. If you're still hanging around listening to these at this point, thank you. I really appreciate it. It shows a great deal about yourself and your own sense of understanding how the world really works, and you must be an impressive person. So, of course, something has to have happened to me, right? I'm a very awkward person. I think I've kind of mentioned that before. I kind of have this weirdness around people in general, and it's not that I don't like people necessarily. There's times where I distance myself from people because I'm concerned about not their effect on me, but rather my effect on them. I had a perfect example of one of those situations. So there I was at the local Walmart establishment, and I had just come out of the store with cart. I was going to my vehicle so that I may place said items from store into my vehicle. And then I've always felt like it's important to return your cart. That's the right thing to do. I always feel bad for these guys who have to go out into the parking lot at a Walmart and they have to go retrieve the cart because you left it on a little median thing and then it's freezing or it's all the way the heck on the other side. And then as soon as they get back with that one, there's like 4 more out there. I mean, it's really not that hard to take your cart back. So I figure, here I go. I'm going to be the nice guy. I'm going to take my cart back. I start leaving. And as you're leaving, of course, every car and their mother has to start backing up to leave as well. So you're having to almost guide yourself around the other cars. Well, I get to I get past one car, and there's a truck, and the cart return is on the other side of him. So I have to look very casual and calm to go, to the cart return. So I make it a point not to look to where he's looking. I go past him. And I look, and there's just another empty parking spot on the other side of him. The cart return was actually on the other side of him, after I already passed him. So, to him, sees this jackass with a cart go past him, and that brief moment where you're thinking, I don't want to admit I did something stupid, so I'm just going to pretend like I did it on purpose, right? So I start kind of walking back towards the store, and I'm looking over there like, yeah, where's that person that wanted me to bring them my cart when I was done with it? Luckily, I started kind of walking back, like I was walking back to the store. I don't know what I expected him to think. Oh, he's going back for round 2. He already put his first round of groceries in there, and now he's going back again. Oh my gosh, it was just so awful. He left, and I was able to put the cart back, and I went home. Just, those first few swear words you say to yourself after you've done something really dumb. Awkward moments. I live in awkward moments. They're the few people that I'm really comfortable around. Family, friends, people I've met on Facebook and YouTube and all that sort of stuff. And you kind of, you get to understand that you're not the only awkward person, so you feel a little bit more comfortable and not take it as personal when you mess up in front of people. I don't know what it is, like especially in a supermarket. I don't know if anybody's ever had this issue. You're heading towards one thing. Yeah, I mean, like, let's say, just walk in, you're heading for the bread aisle, you're going to go get the bread, but at the exact same trajectory, sorry, audio listeners, I can't really give you a visual example, but just say, like, there are 2 lines on a triangle, and they're heading to that same point, right, from one end to the other, and they're going to hit one point there, and it's amazing how the speed that you're going at is exactly the speed as old lady Granny Apple, and you're trying not to match her speed, but you have no choice, and you realize that before you get to the intersecting point of that triangle, one of you has to either stop, and then the other one can go, or one of you has to speed up so that you can pass that person. But the danger with speeding up is that if you're going to the same spot, what ends up happening? You hit each other. So you know what my solution to that is? Because it happens all the time. It happens so much that I have to have a solution for it. Think about that. If I'm passing by, let's say I'm passing by the baby food aisle, I'll stop and I'll look at it and be like, huh, yes, it's a good deal on child's feeding products. Simply because I don't want to run into this person. Unbelievably uncomfortable when you have to find out ways, and they're not going to stop. I hate to say it, but most of the time, the other person, they're not going to stop. There's a really rare chance they're even paying attention to what you're doing, And if they bump into you, they're like, oh, how did you not see me? It's like, you're the one not paying attention. Anyway, irrelevant. Point is, I don't handle awkward situations very well. I try to avoid them. When I go to a restaurant and I notice that I have to, we're done eating and it's time to leave, I will purposely sit in my chair and I will look around me first, like a 360-degree radius. Maybe that's just normal. Maybe that's what everybody does. Like every time that I get up, everybody and their mother has to get up at the same time. So I have to do that, and 90% of the time, I'm right. I'm giving you a percentage as if I've done a study, which should make you think. I've kind of done a study. And it goes back to what I was saying in my last podcast, even though I was a bit more tipsy than I would have cared for, and I appreciate you sticking with me through that one. That was an experimental one. I might not be doing too many of those. The idea that motion attracts motion, even subconsciously, I feel. It's kind of like a subliminal message, but perceptual, social subliminal message. You see a commercial that has a guy, he's eating a burger. You're like, oh man, I gotta have a burger. Where do you get that burger? Where's the best burger? That's freaking Whataburger. Oh man, I gotta go, right? Well, if you're sitting there and all of a sudden you hear the table next to you say, yeah, you know what? It's time to go. Let's go ahead and get up. I swear that triggers something in the people right next to you. And sure enough, they start backing up their chair and you hear the rustling on the table. And before you know it, they're crashing into each other while you're trying to get up out of your seat. So yeah, I mean, after everybody says, okay, are you guys ready to go? Yeah, I'm ready to go. Okay. Everybody's up. I'm still sitting. Why's Pat still sitting? They crash into the person next to them. That's why. It's an impulse. And I don't think people realize that this happens to them, but I kid you not, almost every time that I get up from eating at a restaurant, and we're kind of, sometimes we go to restaurants where they sit too close, and maybe that's the restaurant's fault. They should be spaced out a little bit more. It's happened at Village Inn. That's a local diner here. It's happened at many other coffee houses. You know, these things happen. And then the worst part is, let's say you do crash into somebody. You get up and, forgot to do my check. I crashed into somebody. Now what? Now you have to look at them, and there's that weird, awkward, well, who says sorry? Do you say sorry? Do I say sorry? Because me, I'm so like embarrassed that I ran into this person. I immediately jump on the sorry. But you know what ends up happening? And correct me if I'm wrong. All the time I say, I'm sorry, and they say, it's okay. It's like you just got up at the same time as me. You got up at the exact same time as me. You bumped into me, yet I'm the one saying I'm sorry? No. No. You're supposed to say, man, I'm sorry, I didn't see you either. Or, that's okay, man, I'm sorry too. Easy, quick, move on. But no, they always create that situation where like, oh, yeah, it's your fault. You're the only one not paying attention. Animals. It's an interesting time living as me. It really is. One of the points I kind of really wanted to address today, because I was having a great conversation with my brother. He was talking to me about, this is not political podcast. You believe something? Good for you. Me and him have a disagreement, is that he'll try to make a good point to me about something. Let's use dieting as, well, you may have an amazing way to lose weight. Type of exercise, you eat only certain types of foods. You're very motivated by this new information that you found, and it could be amazing information, but then you want other people to know that information so they can be on the same wavelength as you. And there's two ways people do that. They package it, right? They package it into this little idea, this little nugget of thought, and they're thinking, wow, I have the perfect way to tell this other person how to eat healthy, how to exercise, and make their lives better. It's the first way. It's like, hey man, you know what? You've expressed interest in losing weight as well. Interested, but here's something I'm doing if you want to know. Or the better example of that is, you don't say anything, you show by example, you start losing weight in this instance, in this example, and then they ask you, hey, what are you doing? And you say, you know what, man? It's weird, I've been doing this. Very humble, very with a lot of humility. And then there's the other people, and they learn these nuggets of information, and then they'll go with you to lunch, right? All my stories seem to revolve around eating today. That's not good. And they look at somebody else and they're like, "Oh man, you're gonna eat that? You're gonna eat that? Oh, it's full of calories and carbohydrates. And did you? I bet you don't even exercise." Okay, maybe not that extreme. They kind of give you that jeering look, or even worse, you're like, you're at the dinner table and you're, hey, guys, is everybody okay? You want to eat anything? And they're just like, I don't want to eat anything else. That was way too heavy. Okay, that's fine, no problem. And there's a tone about it, and then there's a, guys, I want to start eating healthy, and all of us, we're going to start eating healthy as of this moment. So here's what we're going to do, and they come across as that very, they discovered the meaning of life, so now they must tell you and tell you everything, right? I mean, it's okay if they present it as an opinion. Hey guys, guess what I'm doing? Conversation, whatever. I don't care for small talk, but people are going to talk about positive things. I'm good for that. I'd love to listen to your positive stories. But they come across as, I've discovered the meaning of existence, and I must tell you now. So I only eat chicken that's been raised in a humane setting. I run 14,000 feet a day, and I don't I don't put butter on my bagel, I guess. And they get so wrapped up in this idea that they now have a mission to go out and to tell everybody this thing. You can say something amazing in the stupidest way possible. And that's what I feel most people need to avoid. So now I know this answer, guys. I know how to say good. You shouldn't say things right. So now I have to. But no, really, it's more like this is just an opinion. I mean, I hope you agree with me. I hope you don't. I hope you disagree with me. I hope you have your own thoughts on the matter. If you have an amazing idea, if you saw something amazing, if you're learning something new, and you wish to impart your information onto somebody else, present it in a humble, positive, non-egotistical way. Another way to look at this is finance. There are people that are really good at saving money. There are people that are not so good at spending money. One person takes a debt elimination savings course, and then what's the first thing they want to do? They go out and they want to teach everybody else how to be debt-free, get out of debt. The way that they present it comes across as very egotistical and very, here's my answer. And a lot of people are still struggling. They have to get to that point that they want to change first, right? So instead of waiting for them to want to come to it on their own, they just want to be seen as the person who came up with the answer first. So they push their version of the answer, even if it's wrong, and end up being a hypocrite. And then that person misses out on a great message simply because you presented it in a really detrimental way. I mean, I'm sure many of us have gotten that, right? A lot of people have had that experience happen. You need to work hard if you want to get to where you want to be in life. That's number one. Hey, man, you know what? I want to get to where I want to be in life, so I just work hard. That's what I do. I hope you do that too. I mean, that's up to you, but if I want to get to where I want to be, I want to work hard. Again, the only way you're going to get anywhere in life is if you kill yourself by working yourself to the bone every single day. I mean, it creates two different tones, doesn't it? Yet you probably know both of these types of people. But I hope you understand the point that I'm trying to make here. It's not to say that there are some messages that shouldn't be advocated. If you have a strong belief in opposition to something, violence, let's use violence, the whole idea, of pushing answers on other people through force, people who lose arguments. Oh my God, and that's a whole different topic in general I could go off on. When you have to push your opinion on somebody else, you're admitting that you're insecure about your ideas. That's my belief. The second you learn something amazing and you want to rush out and force it down people's throats, to me, that's the first sign that you don't fully believe what it is you're saying. Because you're not telling other people because you want them to get it. You want them to agree with you. Most people want the other person to agree that what you're doing is right. We do it with everything. If you're saving money and someone else is saving money, how quickly can that conversation devolve into, well, I have so much more money than you. But you know why? And they'll proceed to explain their financial plan, which it could be better or worse. But the other person who could probably improve their financial plan will fail to hear you because you said it in a very egotistical, stupid way. I wonder what messages, think about this, what messages have been lost on you simply because they were presented in an egotistical, condescending way. What good information do you have that you could give to somebody else that could instantly be disregarded because you presented it in a very dumb way? This is Facebook. To be honest with you, what I'm just describing, people who give good informations in a bad way, is Facebook. You'll see these memes, you'll see these videos, you'll see these journalists, these links to news sites, and everybody claims to have had the breaking story about the facts of something that happened or whatever, but it all leads back to how it's presented. And if it's presented in a way that comes across as egotistical, it's going to be disregarded. I consider myself to be very flawed. I listen to other people when they give me their thoughts on something. Say people give me their ideas on finance. I'll listen to them. And immediately, if it doesn't align with what I'm thinking, I tend to not give them my full attention. Like I said, I don't listen to people for very long. But it's not because I don't like them. It's because I don't get what they're saying. I don't find it interesting. But usually it's the same thing. These people that come across and are like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I've heard this argument before. Blah, 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 blah. I've heard that argument before. And it's always the same argument. And you can tell that they just heard it from somewhere else. And you know where it came from. So it's like, is this your independent thought or just your regurgitation of this information that you heard from yourself? And I tend to tune those people out. But the whole thing about tuning out, you hear people saying the same thing. It works both ways. So if you're giving out information that is valuable, but it's not articulated, even articulated, it's just not presented with a meaningful, sincere tone, a sincere way. And being sincere isn't weird. You have to tell people to be sincere. Just be honest. Be honest about how you're saying things. And if you genuinely want to help somebody out, you won't present it to them in a way that makes them feel bad about themselves. Maybe some people need a swift kick in the butt. Some people are overeating, some people are overspending, and you're worried about them, and you're like, hey, you know what? You can do this stuff, but don't make me a part of it anymore. That's perfectly acceptable. But I'm talking about the normal standard situations, by the water cooler, at lunch, talking to your friends, out to dinner. Why do people do that? And I mean, I get it. It's like you're trying to do this social high ground thing, and realistically, all it does is make you look to be someone who's insecure with your own beliefs and having to get other people to try to align with your own. Rant over. Sorry, see, this is why these podcasts are therapeutic. You get this information out, and whether or not people can take something away from it is up to them entirely. I like it. I think it's great. I hope you did get something away from it. I'm asking the guys, what philosophical questions do you have this week? And Tip simply asks, why create? Of course, that's an incomplete question. Why create what? Why create art? Why create life? Why create problems? Why create inspiration? Why create anything? Let's say, why create content? Because that's what I'm doing, right? Popular content, very hard to do. Almost impossible in today's day and age. So why create it even if you're not going to make it very far? Why do people play football in college if they don't intend to go into the NFL? Why do people join marching band if they don't intend to become band directors? I mean, that's an interesting question. Why do anything, really? It's because it's what makes you feel good at the time, right? And not feel good in like you're out, smoking yourself to death, or you're out drinking yourself to death, or you're doing anything detrimental in the sake of it feeling good, but you're doing something that it makes you feel happy. You draw, you run, you read, and you do these things repeatedly, and these are decent, good things. So why not, is the question I would ask. To Tip's philosophical question, which I'm making more adding more gravity to the question than actually is needing to be. But if you're going to do anything in life, don't do it because you think you have to. If you're doing anything in your life that you feel like you have to, outside of your responsibilities, your important responsibilities, feed your family, feed yourself, take care of yourself and all that stuff, you're only going to make yourself miserable. A good example would be taking on popular culture as your norm just because everybody else seems to accept it as a norm. You have other people, the old saying, everybody's going to jump off a bridge, are you going to do it too? It applies to so many different things. If someone's going to tell you that they're studying, underground cinnamon healing properties, spend your entire life devoted to underground cinnamon healing properties. Yeah, that's great, but it kind of ties into what we were saying earlier, that you're now resigning yourself to whatever it is this other person says, and more than likely it's because that person presented it in a condescending way. So now you feel obligated to do what they have to do. That was the worst example I could think of. Just do what you love to do. If it's not hurting anybody, you're going to be fine. You want to live a meaningful life, you want to live a happy life, do what you love doing repeatedly. Don't be ashamed of what it is you love doing, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. Or yourself, preferably. Do what you love doing the rest of my life. But up to this point, it seems to have worked out. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this. Please visit our YouTube channel. It's hard for us to get a name on it right now because, you have to reach a certain amount of views before anybody can do that. So if you're listening to the audio portion of this, it'd be super helpful. Even if you just click on the video, watch me be an idiot for 5 seconds, and click off, that's fine. I don't expect any more than that. If you want to stick around and watch the rest of the videos, that'd be great too. So YouTube channel is Jackass Express. You'll notice because our logos are all the same. Make sure to go to our blog spot, jackassexpress.com. or jackassexpress.blogspot.com. We also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/jackassexpress. Ask me questions there. Go to my Twitter, Jackass Express, @Jackass Express. You could also get me personally, send me messages at Celtichorn, that's CELTICHORN. I'll be more than happy to talk to you on the Twitters. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending your time with me.